Hey, good afternoon, depending on the world, where in the world you are. Good morning. It's Charisse, and I am coming to you in my first video appearance of 2020. As I've talked about, it's all about connection. So you get all of me in this space. I'm in my home, in my upper floor, and this is where it gets down. It gets down in all kind of ways, creativity, but mainly talking to you about wealth and all things as you pursue that for your life. As we've been talking about for the last couple of years, I want you to have the life that you want. And 2020 is no different. I want to come closer, real close, so that you can get a little bit more of me. I can hear and get some of you. I'm excited because I've always wanted to do a little bit more video. And so bear with me because I have a lot to offer. But more importantly, I want you to get some takeaways and hear what's been in my mind, what's important, what are we going to talk about with respect to what's happening in the markets and what's happening in general. And let me start off by saying it's Super Bowl Sunday and we are a week out. Last Sunday, we were all, I think, reeling a little bit in disbelief because we heard the tragic news of the helicopter that crashed in Calabasas, California, carrying 9 individuals, part of families. And it's so tragic. Obviously, one of the more well-known persons on board being Kobe Bryant and his daughter, Gianna, and so many of the other families affected. I just want to say, whew, life is short. I mean, I saw Kobe grow up as many of us did, particularly Kobe's only a few years older than me. And so I felt like he really embodied what it meant to have what he called that Mamba mentality. And I spent some time looking like what does that actually mean? And so I looked it up and here we go. Mamba mentality, in Kobe's words, is all about focusing on the process and trusting in the hard work when it matters most. That's what he said in his own words. It's the ultimate mantra for the competitive spirit. And so I know a lot of athletes take that on, but also non-athletes alike. And I want us to have some of that Mamba mentality when it comes down to pursuing what you want in terms of your wealth and building that for yourself and your family. I think what this week has also brought about is a reminder, at least for me, and I want to encourage you to think about wealth in this way. It's about the relationships. It's about what you're doing to empower and enrich the lives of others. I see that as wealth enhancing. And yes, there's the numerical wealth that has a lot to do with our assets and our liabilities and our net worth. But there's also the intangible wealth that comes from just being fulfilled. And a big part of that is how you are in relationship to other people. And so I want to encourage you to seek out that kind of wealth, because that's the wealth I think that will sustain us long when we are gone and others are having the memories of us to hold on to. And so I wanted to share this week a little bit about what I've been working on because I wanted to encourage you to get moving. I spent some time earlier this week. My husband George, you'll see him some of the pictures back there, but he and I caught up with our financial advisor, and in that meeting we hadn't seen him in a couple of months, and that's fine because it's all about good timing, right? We spent time going over our goals for 2020 financial wise. We're going to be putting some money into our 529. We're going to be making sure we plan for some of the trips that we want to take, still maxing out our 401k. He pushed us on making sure we get our will, trust, estate in order. And we have some work to do there because that needs to change now that we have our daughter. And I'll show you a little picture of her. This is her, Gigi. You might hear me talk about her every now and then, but ultimately she fuels me. And in this talk with our financial advisor, he had us look at our performance from last year, and we were able to look at our statements and feel good about the return. Now, we just started working with this financial advisor last year, and so it took some time to get our assets into the market. He had us look at the return, which was about 15%, which is not bad, considering that the S&P index was a little higher than that. We take that because we weren't fully invested for the whole year. And we weren't all invested in the S&P, which affects the return as well. But ultimately, it was great to be with him, and I want to encourage you to meet with your financial advisor. And if you haven't got one yet, to get one. I've talked about this a lot on my blog. And in short, think of your financial advisor as your wing woman or wing man that helps you fulfill the vision that you have. All right. Also, what happened over the last couple of days? There were a lot of earnings this week. A lot of companies in the stock market affected by how they reported their results from 2019. One of the companies that I've been keeping an eye on, and we'll come back to this one later, but it's just one that has popped up on my radar. I used to follow it when I worked on Wall Street at JP Morgan. One of my colleagues was big on this company. It was called Roper Technologies, and it's popped back up because they've been just executing well. Roper is about a $5.3 billion company. They make RFID chips. You know what those are? They're like identification security chips that allow companies to track and to monitor. But they also do a lot of medical and scientific imaging, what they call industrial technology, and a lot of energy systems and controls. Basically, they're a diversified kind of niche player in the industrial sort of technology space, and they are trading at a stock price of roughly $380 as of last Friday. And just keep in mind, I know that I love stocks, and so I do get a little bit excited when I can talk about some individual companies. I haven't invested in this one, quite frankly, but it's one I have on the radar. And if the stock were to pull back, or shall I say lose value in terms of its price, I'm going to take that opportunity to try to inch my way into the stock. So hopefully we'll come back to that later on this year and let you know how I'm doing. But ultimately, I see it as an opportunity to make money and increase my performance and allow myself to reap the benefits. You have to excuse me a little bit. I'm a little nasally, but I know you'll bear with me. Also, a lot of earnings buzz around Apple. They released earnings. They had a great quarter, great year. I know people are on the fence with Apple because they've had a tremendous run up in terms of their stock price, but a lot of people have felt maybe the stock is overvalued. Maybe Tim Cook, who's their CEO, doesn't have any more tricks up his sleeves, but it'll be an interesting one to watch in the coming weeks and months in 2020. And see where that stock goes. Overall, though, I think the market has been a little tipsy-turvy these last couple weeks of the new year. And obviously, with the recent news on the coronavirus, be careful now. You don't want to play with this one. I think that the market's been a little hesitant and a little, quite frankly, just unsure, and the frenzy of how the global economy is going to fare from the fallout. So, make sure that you stay the course, but also use some of the opportunities of the market acting very volatile to either increase or decrease some positions if you have them individually. But ultimately, most of my money is in mutual funds or ETFs, individual stocks. They're nice and they're fun to talk about and even invest in for some extra cash. But the majority of my money is sitting in mutual funds and ETFs. Check out my blog for a refresher on the difference between ETFs and mutual funds. So I want to close with just connection, right? Again, 2020, that's what it's all about. And I want to make sure that you get more of me. A couple of things to give you a little close personal insight into some of the things that I am doing personally, because that all ties back to the wealth, right? Again, relationships, money, the life that I want to live. And so I turn a big 40. Yep, I turned 40 this year. And so I'm embracing that and all that it means. Many of my friends do as well. And so we're planning some trips and some outings. But most importantly, just celebrating what it means to be on this earth. Again, life is not guaranteed and things could be drastically different. And so I'm healthy and I'm joyful. And I thank you for tuning in for this segment. I'm excited to come a little closer to you in the coming weeks and months of 2020. And I'll see you soon, real soon. Talk to you later. Bye-bye. If you like this video, like it on YouTube, and I'm hoping that you show me the love as I try to show you the love. Thanks.